How do I even begin to share what's happened over the last 8 years? Hi, my name's Elizabeth Ann Walker. I had a professional career for over 21 years. I was a registered nurse, a midwife, and a university lecturer. And whilst I wore the mask of professionalism, on the inside, I was completely dying, absolutely numb. I'd helped so many others, yet seemed completely unable to help myself. One day I was at work and I was literally delivering a baby and my head was off with the clouds. I had no idea what I was thinking about. That baby came out, I put it on the mother's chest and I felt nothing. I was completely numb. I'd been in a marriage for 13 years that had destroyed me. I'd endured 3 years of a brutal divorce. And here I was at work, the one place I could feel joy, feeling absolutely nothing. I was burnt out. I was hollow. I had no idea what to do. I changed hospitals several times, yet each hospital I went to, the brokenness, the numbness, and the nothingness followed me. Eventually, I decided to leave nursing. Wow, what an incredible time of my life. I had no idea who I was, none whatsoever. My identity was all tied up in my role. I had no idea who Elizabeth Ann Walker was. She was just a nurse that helped people. So I had to start to rediscover myself. I had 47 operations in a 3-year period because of the trauma and the drama that had followed me, that I'd allowed to stay in my body. I got through that and completely reinvented myself. And the saving grace was actually joining a network marketing company. It seemed like such a small thing at the time, yet it was the way that I found out about personal development. I found out that mindset was a thing. I found out that my life could change purely by the way I was thinking. So I went along to Tony Robbins, an incredible event, and wow, I learnt that what he was using was neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. And so I started to learn more. I studied it, I fell in love with it, and yet I realized that most of the people teaching it had no idea about all the other things that I knew a lot about, and I knew I could do it better. I became a coach at first, and I started coaching people, helping them to create the life that they wanted. The results were phenomenal. I noticed that a whole lot of coaches actually started coming to me to be coached on how to be better coaches, and that's when I realized that a training company was the way that I needed to move forward in life. So I started Elizabeth Ann Walker Training and Coaching, where I taught people integrated NLP, an incredible combination of mindset, energetics, somatics, and neuro-linguistic programming alongside neuroscience. It is the best way to learn how to help people move through different phases of change in their life. So what integrated NLP is it moves beyond mindset. It works at the level of identity, where we completely rewire the thoughts and we dissolve all the blocks that you currently have by activating your untapped potential. It's more than personal development. It is a complete system of integrated neuro-linguistic programming, energy, and generational change. It breaks through old, outdated patterns and allows you to truly move into the potential that you are. When I started EAWTC, I knew that business could look different. I created a wealth sharing model so that every team member, staff member, and volunteer is fully incentivized to create this business as a business that is committed to the growth of people. I love what I do, and my team loves every minute of what they do. And I'm proud to say that this business functions in a way that shows others how to create success. So our training business started in Sydney. In our first year, we'd expanded to Melbourne and the Gold Coast, And over the following 3 years, we became a global business, helping thousands of people to create a life of success and happiness in all areas. With an in-room and hybrid setup, we grew over 300% year in and year out and created one of the largest personal development companies in Australia. Our students' stories became the heartbeat of our mission. There are some incredible, incredible stories. And I'd love to give you a few examples of that. A lady called Natalie. I met her at a little meditation down the road from our training center where a friend had said to me, hey, come to this thing on Sunday night. Sitting right behind me, this incredible woman who had $33 in her bank account and was devastated that she could not share her gifts with the world. She was a spiritual healer who had a big mission. I asked her how long it would take her to create the deposit to come along to our training. And she said, I don't think I ever could. And I said, well, what would happen if you did? And she made it happen within a week. She jumped on, having no idea how she'd get the rest of the money. She jumped into the training. And now, 3.5 years later, she runs one of the biggest spiritual training schools in the world. She is a multimillionaire and she has everything that she wants in her life. Another example is an incredible woman who has traveled around Australia and the world with her family, homeschooling her children or world schooling her children and living the life of her and her husband's dreams. She came into our training as an influencer. She had about 4,000 people on her social media and wasn't monetizing them at all. We taught her integrated NLP, removed the blocks that she had, helped her to find a way to success, and she was a millionaire within 7 months. 7 months! Like, that's crazy. She had no idea she could do that. And you know what? She was a nurse before she stepped into that role. Some other things are very different from those big successful things, but mean just as much. A man called Stuart, completely healed of his physical pain that he'd had for over 20 years due to a motorbike accident. Many of you have seen that video on my social media. A man named Dave, he had fought in Afghanistan with the Australian Army and had complex PTSD. We removed it within hours and he's now gone on to help veterans create lives of impact instead of lives of sweet desperation. Someone called another Dave, actually, who had a tiny little business out in a mining town in Australia. It took him a year to grow that business into a multi-million-dollar business. And where he had one site, he now, today, I was on the phone to him, has 63 sites that he looks after and is so successful. We've got Michelle. She was also a nurse. She came in just wanting to stop the burden of shift work. She now helps nurses who are looking for that identity shift create a life that they love, and she gets paid high 6 figures a year to do it. What NLP can do for you is endless. However, it's bountiful. There were people who loved us and people who hated us. And regardless of who they were, we grew. We hired and fired, and we learnt the hard lessons. And now we have the most incredible, aligned, passionate team that you could ever imagine. The legacy that is EAWTC became even more important with the birth of our grandson. 7 years later, we are a global, multi-million-dollar personal development business, helping hundreds of thousands of people to create lives that impact themselves and others. The way that they can communicate with themselves and others is next to none. It is outstanding, it is phenomenal, and it will change your life. I've lived the cost of staying small. I've learned what it's like to have a voice. And I've completely understood the power of rewriting the story. There's an opportunity for you to do this too.